You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. This Pro version comes in red. And there are different colors out there, the grey, but also different colors. I think it was also in the very strange green colored. So in here we're going to get the device itself that has a very nice weight to it. Including, we're going to get an AV out cable, and we're going to get ourselves over here the Type-C, and we're going to get an extra, let's say, in sort of, how do you call this thing? Like a cap, joystick grip, joystick riser. I don't know, man. But it looks kind of cool, to be honest. But nevertheless, this is one of the extra things that we're going to get with this. The form factor is similar to a Super NES controller, and I think it gives it a little bit of an authentic and of course a cool extra nostalgia feeling. But the configuration of the overall console is very good. So first of all, I've noticed it comes in a very nice curve, compared with an original, let's say, Super NES controller that was completely flat at the back. What you're actually going to get, I can tell you, oh boy, this is a very comfortable device when holding it in my hand, and I can already tell you this thing is going to be absolutely great. So overall we're going to get two clickish micro switch shoulder buttons, A, B, X, Y buttons, and when it comes to the buttons, they do have concave buttons over here, and that's kind of interesting. It's very difficult to record, but they are concave and they are different. So it's kind of cool that they also went for this. D-pad is pretty damn bad, I can tell you that. It feels really cheap, and actually when playing some games I've noticed it's not great. But then of course we're going to get the joystick, so with some games you can just use the joystick, and the position isn't perfect in my opinion. Well, I'm a big fan of the D-pad when it actually is placed in the original position like a controller. It's great. Having some rubberized select and start buttons. At the bottom we're going to get the on-off switch, the Type-C for connection, then we're going to get the micro SD card, an AV out, and a volume control by a normal scrolling wheel. Okay, so let's take a close look at the battery. This isn't a very familiar battery. This is actually the 80-650. This is the particular battery we find a lot in portable Pandora's boxes. And yep, you can find them on Amazon or different places. Be careful, there are a lot of, let's say, fake ones out there. But if you can find a high quality one with more milliamps and it fits in the system, we can even have spare ones with you and upgrade it and have more playing time. But that's actually what we're going to have when it comes to the overall battery. Let's remove the screen protector. And let's take a close look at the device itself. The front glass is very cheap, very thin too. So you need to be very careful. So if you're going to be bashing into it, you're going to destroy the display. There is some minor room, which you can see over here between the front glass and the LCD. So, but again, this is not Gorilla Glass or whatsoever, but you cannot really expect that for the money you're paying for this. So what they actually did great is the overall menu navigation. So first of all, it works very fast, what you can see over here. It has no delay whatsoever that we have seen with cheaper devices. So pressing up and down, and then we're going to get ourselves different kind of games. MAME, GBA, GB Color, Game Boy, Mega Drive, Famicom, Super Famicom, and of course here we're going to get the ROM settings and everything else. System, TV out, game list, and the favorite. So with the favorites, kind of cool. Here we're having the favorite list that we can add all of our games to. We're going to see the history. It even comes with a very cool screenshot, and from this point you can just easily boot up the game, and it works really fast. Pressing select to start in a game, here we're going to have the option to make a quick load, quick save. And I think it's pretty cool. It even makes a screenshot, so if you want to load a game, you know exactly where you've been. And when it comes to the software, in that part, they did an amazing job. I also have seen this many times before when it comes to, let's say, plug and play sticks. So the overall software so far is quite nice. Okay, the first thing I wanted to mention is of course the controls. So when you're looking into some Contra and you want to play and shoot from a certain angle, I can tell you, especially when you're having this game, it feels really horrible, the D-pad, and when you can shoot at every angle, I did have a lot of struggles when playing some games like Tetris. Also, we're going to have a search function, so here we're going to search for our certain game throughout the whole list, what is on the machine itself. Functions you don't see very often in devices of this price range. So I was also very surprised to find it over here. Pressing OK, it basically freezes the game or the system itself because you need to load up every single system. But it's also cool that it also shows cases where the game is coming from. Here we're going to get Super Famicom, Mega Drive, but not every single system will be shown. Some of the screenshots seem to be completely messed up. I don't know if they have anything to do with the search function. I think it's just a general problem. But beside that, it works pretty great. It would be cool if they indicate where basically the file is coming from the left bottom corner. So let's say a platform. In the key mapping here we can change out all kinds of key mappings when it comes to, let's say, certain platforms. By pressing the shoulder buttons, here we can go to the different emulator. You know, things like those that you don't see very often. I can really appreciate it. So that's actually what you're going to have and what you're going to get when it comes to this particular overall menu. But how actually about the game itself? So we're having a couple of screenshots, that's it. By pressing start, it will bring you into the main menu where we find all of the games that you have installed on the device itself. Another thing I need to mention is the audio quality. I can tell you this thing goes really loud. I give you an idea when it comes to playing actually the game. So let's start it and I will let you hear it. But how is it with the overall emulation performance? Yeah, I must say that when it comes to the FPS and the way how everything sounds, I'm quite surprised how good this is. But we do have a combination of turbo function here. So that's kind of cool. And all the sounds back here. Pressing select and start. There is no aspect ratio, you cannot change anything out if you want to. But that's actually how it works. So what is a little bit of a bummer when you're getting into some emulators like Super NES. It's completely unfreaking playable. And that's kind of a bummer. Because this is a system that can run easily on a device like this. And this is a great case what happens when it comes to Chinese products that you're getting when you're going to get overall mixed performance. At this point I'm already used to it, because for me it's always like quite negative, thinking what's the next thing to mess up? And this is one of those answers. Super NES is absolutely unplayable. Doesn't matter what game I'm booting up. Last time I even booted up a game that completely resetted the system itself. Absolutely a lot of shenanigans. But let's move into the Mega Drive part and see how that actually works. I do have the feeling that the audio is messed up, and I mean, there is no stereo speaker in here. And we're grabbing a certain coin, you can just hearing not all of the ring sounds are there. But the overall FPS, so far I don't see a lot of screen tearing going on. So when it comes to the overall gameplay, I'm quite surprised how good it runs. I always do wonder, say, why are you not slapping like $5 more on it and make this thing perfect? But okay, next up, let's take a close look at one of my favorite games to play on my Game Boy Classic. And when I say that, I've noticed when you're pressing left and right, you have sometimes an input of pressing down. You need to be very careful with this D-pad. So when it comes to this particular game, you can see like I have a lot of problems with pressing down, but also pressing right at the same time. So this D-pad is absolutely horrible. It's a kind of also of it's like absolutely a little bit of a bummer, because that is not necessary. So of course it's great that they implemented a switch joystick look-alike without the click. Now we can play, but still, oh man, it's quite difficult. I need to get used to this craziness. Oh man, oh, so annoying. But okay, so there is so much cool stuff to can play on this thing, including some Bomberman. And it runs pretty damn great. So that's always like a bummer with these things, that why does one particular thing run pretty damn horrible. But if you just have a game like this, the D-pad does not ruin the fun at all. So it's also depending what kind of games you actually want to play. The next system I wanted to try out is some Game Boy Advance. And so far so good. All of the Game Boy systems seems to be working and emulating just fine. And if you're just into a system like that, or systems, this is absolutely great to revisit your old games. Even besides it has a very horrible D-pad. I really don't notice it when it comes to Alien Hominid, because you're just shooting left and right. All the buttons have been mapped perfectly, matching the original Game Boy layout. Man, I cannot really stop playing this. This is so much fun. Oh boy. Let's make a save, by the way, so I can continue later on. Here we go. Okay, very good. So loading up the Neo Geo emulator, it will take a little bit longer where all the other games instantly load. We need to have a quick load of the emulator and the certain files that are needed to boot up the game. But also here, very nice performance. Because you're basically shooting only a couple of angles in this game, it's not going to be an issue whatsoever. So I already noticed maybe that when adjusting the volume, this works really smooth. When in previous models or previous handhelds, we had this very strange thing going on, went from like 20% of the audio all the way up to 70 instantly. So they did a great job with that too. Take consideration when it always comes to MAME, we have some limitations. We cannot run a certain game like Killer Instinct. Okay, the button mapping are very strange. Great audio, good overall performance, and MAME seems to be running just fine on this freaking thing.